Hey there, everybody. Hey, welcome to episode number 7 of Transforming Yourself, Others, and the World. I'm Charlie. You're not, and that's good. We need you, your gifts, and your talents to change the world, not more of me. So here we are, number 7. Hey, I today I want to go a little deeper. I want to um I want to give you some information, just pure information, um, so that you can start thinking about what's coming in the world, what's going to, what changes you might need to make, the ways we think, that kind of stuff, where we can, because we right now we're going through a change that comes about every 80 years, between 70, 80 years, like this major turning. Hey, there's a really cool book called The Fourth Turning. And I would really encourage you to read that book, where it talks about demographic, the characteristics of different generations, so character traits of different generations, and how that influences what happens in the world. And in these turning phases, like we're going through right now, there tends to be like one generation hands the world off to the other, and it can go well or not well. um, and I think we'd all probably agree that this handover is not going so well. So, um, and in the past, that's led to hard times in certain parts of the world, at least. So, my heart is to really help you, to give you the information so that you can make better decisions for yourself and for your family, for your children, so we can prepare for the next period of time. Um, so what I want to talk about is what's called the fourth industrial revolution. I don't know if that's anything that you have, that you've really heard about before. Some people have only heard it in a real negative uh context. Yeah, because it's the only the context of Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum, and so it's all bad. And I would like to present this in a little bit more of a less of a doomsday scenario, less of the elites want to really take over the world kind of thing. I would just like to give you some information, some plain uh some plain information, so that you can just understand what's happening. What is this fourth industrial revolution? What is true? What is not true? What is going to happen? And what do we not have to go along with? So, um, we all in school, we heard about industrial revolutions. We in the history class, we heard about the first industrial revolution, and that was, of course, started in like the early 1700s, with Thomas Newcomb, and when he invented the steam pump. How the steam pump was one of the first kind of mechanisms, machines, that allowed us to do much more work much quicker. Um, be it pumping water out of wells, be it sawing wood, all kinds of things. It allowed to be more work done. Um, it didn't have any value on whether it was safer. It didn't have any value on whether it was easier on people. It was just all about getting faster. 100 years later, the gasoline motor came to that, and it all really went uh, you know really exploded with that. um and this was a fear of this was a phase. The first industrial revolution was a phase of, hey, machinery can help us to do more faster. And it didn't really have much of a thought about whether that is good for the workers or not good for the workers. It didn't really take any of that into account. That happened in the second industrial revolution, where which was right in the late 1800s. There were just huge factories, and they weren't necessarily pleasant to work in. Um, and you did the same thing, every day, and it was a tough life, and lots of people died. It wasn't necessarily the safest, and they weren't necessarily efficient in terms of the um, the way people were utilized to make that happen. So so at this point, they started looking at, okay, the combination of man and machine. How can this become a symbiosis? How can this come a place where they can really work together and efficiently? So how they could create more and it would still be good for people. So for instance, you used to have these big old factories, they just be these big old um, brick buildings. And then they started thinking like, okay, we could set this all up so that um, we can put lots more windows in. Natural light is better. Um, we could really start moving along with making it easier on the employee. For instance, you could the perfect example of this time was Henry Ford and his Model T production line. And all that it did was it took the machinery and the people and made it much more efficient. The autos moved down the conveyor belt or down the production line. The person stayed in the same place, learned one specialty, this spot, and could do that incredibly fast. And what that came to was an efficiency, um, a symbiosis that created a lot more product and was also good for the employee. Henry Ford was also well known for his saying of, nobody should work in my factory and not be able to afford one of my cars. That was for him self-evident that he should treat his employees very well. That they should earn well enough to be able to afford one of his cars. This symbiosis had led to the fact that they were producing cars at the rate of every 32 seconds, a car came from the production line. Every 32 seconds. Now there was a relatively easy kind of thing, his they were all the same. His slogan was, "Hey, you can have any color you want as long as it's black." As long as it's black. I still think it's hysterical. So just really, really great stuff. I mean, amazing, and that we still have the benefits of that today. All of our conveyor belts and production lines are basically built upon what's good for the employee is also good for the company. So one thing to notice here is that the second industrial revolution wasn't a different technology. It had taken the technology of machinery, and the second revolution was making it more efficient. How can we apply it differently? How can we make it work faster, easier, healthier for the people? And that was the second industrial revolution. That's an important thing to notice. Okay, I'm going to come back to that later because um, there was the first industrial revolution was a technology. The second was an improvement upon that, an application of that, and we'll come back to that later. So the third industrial revolution, um, you could say started in the 50s, but really started moving in the 60s. And that is the computer revolution, the microprocessing revolution, the electronic revolution. I'm not to tell you very much about this. You are watching me streaming on YouTube on your computer. Yeah, your computer or on your phone, I guess, on your smartphone. Um, in your smartphone, there is more computing power than the space capsule that landed on the moon in the 60s. Your phone is capable of more right now than what the space shuttle was in terms of computing power in the mid 60s, middle to late 60s. So that is a pretty amazing thing. So that is the beginning of it. So, and then here we just get, it grows. We're buying online. We're ordering food online. eBay, Amazon. We've got you've got Google Maps on your phone. You've got all these downloading music, streaming, watching movies. You've got all kinds of stuff like this. You got the world just became more fun. Let me put it that way. The possibilities became really great to have just different capabilities. You had more time because things got easier. And it was also enjoyable to watch movies online. You didn't have to go get videos or anything like that. So, your credit card is another example. Hey, you can pay electronically with a credit card. Now we've got now coming up now the Internet of Things. That's the cars that can drive themselves. That is your refrigerator online. Um, you've got the digital world. You've got the metaverse. You've got all kinds of stuff coming up like that. VR goggles, all that kind of stuff. So that that is that is an era of invention, an era of innovation that's brought to this point lots of products. Now we're starting to go over into the fourth industrial revolution. And so just like the second industrial revolution took the products and applied them, um, now we are going to take the digital world that we've created, the computing world, the um, yeah, the digital kind of um, processing that we have and the convenience of all that. And now in the fourth industrial revolution, that will be applied in such a way that we're going to really need to look at what we do with life. It's going to be completely different now. It's going to be really completely different. So we're going to move into a world that is really very different. Here's an example of the fourth industrial revolution. I don't know if you know it. There is a GPS device like Google Maps, but it's called Waze, purchased by Waze, um, in the purchased by Google in the 2000s, and it is basically Google Maps. Put in your address, it gives you a direction, but on top of that, you have live reports of. Now, of course, Google Maps could also do traffic jams. What it didn't do is that you could report the traffic jam as you're driving. You have the ability to put stalled cars, stopped cars, abandoned cars in. You can put in speed traps live. Um, it follows you, and if it sees a bunch of its people are standing in front of they're not moving as quickly, it will actually ask you, are you sitting in a traffic jam or have you stopped? It wants to try to keep up with it. So this is a GPS system that has become a network of live cars, a network of live people driving down the road. Here's a really cool one. I use Waze, so I'm really excited about it. The directions. You can even record your own commands. So we did a family night. We did a family night, and it has a list of all of them, and then you can just record, and we all took turns, and we recorded the commands in just an absolutely fun way. Strange voices, funny sayings, And it's all recorded on my phone. I use that, and so I have my family with me wherever I go. My Jordan says, "Turn right." Anna says, so, and it just, I have my family with me wherever I go. It's pretty amazing. Hey, I really can suggest that for you. Yeah, that's a strong, wrong suggestion. So all this stuff is going to significantly change the way we live. So Uber has improved taxis, Airbnb has improved hotels, Netflix is taking over Blockbuster. Now, the negative side of it is that um, the technology will completely change our work world and our finance world, and we're gonna have to deal with that, and there's nothing we can do about it. The artificial intelligence is gonna take over so many jobs that I've heard numbers that as many as 30% of the jobs in the world will be gone in by 2035. 30% of jobs. That is huge. And you got to plan on it. You got to, not only do you need to plan on it now for our children need to plan on it because they need to look at, in terms of this information, the fourth industrial revolution, the entire artificial intelligence combined with the work world, what jobs are going to be available in 2035. You can start choosing those jobs now that are going to continue through. We need to think about those kind of things. We need to prepare our children, or they're going to be part of the 30% unemployment in 15 years. We need to think about those things. Here's an example. Robotics in the production. Hey, I mean, we none of us are going to know. None of us are going to be surprised to know that a ton of the production jobs are going to disappear. They're already disappearing. So those are going to be gone. Um, here's self-driving cars or self-driving vehicles. What does that mean? It means taxi drivers. Imagine in New York, all the taxi drivers would not have jobs. All the truckers will be gone. All the truckers. Imagine all those people you see on the road every day, all of a sudden don't have a job. Common. Um, buses, the bus drivers. Also, hundreds of thousands of people without a job. Here's one that I think might be a little controversial for you, but um, I think there'll be significantly less doctors. You are not going to replace nurses, I don't think, for the most part. There is a human element of medicine, but please don't be offended if you're a doctor. But um, what doctors are really, really good at is memorizing. What they do is they memorize a ton of symptoms and how these symptoms go along with different sicknesses. It's a data bank. Um, and we all know that they've kind of gone down in their bedside manner in terms of the quality of human service and human treatment. So, um, you know what? A nurse can ask all the symptoms, plug them into a data bank, some program, and come out with pretty much exactly the same thing. And my prediction is before too long, they will start testing it. And at some point, we're going to start finding that the programs, the data banks, are going to be more effective than the doctors. I think that's going to be a result of the epidemic, is that people have lost trust in medicine. And so for that reason, I think it's going to be real easy to lead the world out of doctors. Um, Here's another one that I think could possibly happen. Teachers. What we learned, not in a good way, but what we learned from the epidemic was that, um, hey, the kids can learn online. Yeah, of course, that's stupid, but not all these changes are going to be used for good. Um, And how many teachers, how many jobs could we save if there weren't 2,000 schools in your city? I don't know how many schools there are, but if there weren't hundreds of schools in your city, how many jobs would they save? And instead of having, um, you know, 20,000 teachers, they only need to have 100, and they do it all online from home. Then maybe you have tutors, or you have a production crew that does videos. But the point is that you have tons of jobs being liquidated through artificial intelligence and online schools. So in the end, by 1935, I think we are looking at. I think it's very possible, actually, this number of 30% less jobs. I don't welcome it, but I think it's coming. I don't think there's very much we can do about it. Um, you can choose jobs if you really want. If you want to work, you can choose jobs, and that would be, yeah, it was still, you're going to need a social care, like uh, um, social workers, nurses, like all kinds of manual labor jobs um, are going to be still available, are still going to be real important. Repairing people's homes, uh, plumbers, all that kind of stuff are still going to be a good place to go. Um, I think colleges are going to go. I think what we learned from the epidemic is that you can find everything you need online, and you can educate yourself, and you don't really need to have these certificates. I think that's what's coming too. So, um, so we need to think about what is this going to do to our world. Now, I'm going to go into this. Is also a big part of my channel is I want to go into this. What does that mean about our decisions? What does that mean about our world? Um, how can we live in this kind of world? How can you live free? How can you just not have to play that game? All part of it. It's all what I want to do is help us make the decisions that are going to prepare us for that. And I'm really excited about doing that. So I know it's kind of a dry, probably kind of a dry episode for you. I hope you got something out of it. I'm going to go in a little more detail in the next one. We'll talk about what does this all mean? What are the results of all this? Hey, if you have any questions about what I was talking about, please leave them in the comments down below. I will certainly answer those. Um, and if you like the idea of learning more about what's coming in the world, what I think is gonna happen, and how we can react to it, and what we can do, hit over here, over here. You want to hit the subscription button and the notification bell, so you'll know when I've uploaded a new video. And you also know when I'm just going to go live, when I've uploaded a short, you'll get all those things as immediately there. Yeah, well, thank you. You can also, yeah, subscribe to my channel, and we'll be happy to serve you. Add your questions down below. I'll be real excited to answer those. Or maybe I need to make an entire video if I get enough of the same question all the time. I'll be glad to do that. And just leave a comment, and I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. So I just want to say, hey, be yourself, go out there and change the world. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.